Occasion of the International Day Without Straws, several actions are put in place to further fight against plastic pollution through the prohibition of importation of straws. Also, the African Development Bank Group signed in January in Dakar a $4 million financing agreement to support women entrepreneurs in West Africa. Stay tuned because the details and more in a few seconds. Once more, welcome back, faithful televiewers. We open in Gabon. The General Directorate of Budget and Finance, in short the GGPFIP, wants to clean up the file of back-to-school allowances paid to parents of students. The details are reported by Yann Leimangoy.
The Directorate General of Budget and Public Finance wants to put an end to fraud in the service of back-to-school allowances in Gabon. An initiative which, according to the Director General, Fabrice Anjoua-Bongo-Ndimba, is based on the application of the law establishing the system of family and social benefits applicable to government employees and their dependents, as well as the related regulatory text. For 3 weeks, this administration, in charge of the design of the policy and budgetary standards of the state, as well as the monitoring of the implementation, will deploy on the ground control agents to ensure the effectiveness of the presence of the entitled persons in the indicated establishments. According to Fabrice Anjoua-Bongo-Ndimba, this operation, which has been held since January 27 throughout the country, has a double objective. He said the objective of this mission is to control on the spot of the beneficiaries of the back-to-school allowances paid in cash on the one hand. On the other hand, it is to detect cases of undue collections and optimize the management of public finances. Note that the back-to-school allowances is paid each year to families with at least one school-age child between 3 and 16 years old enrolled in the National Health Insurance and Social Guarantee Fund, CNAMGS. Paid at the beginning of each school year, this allowance is estimated at 62,500 CFA per child.
As previously announced, while the international community commemorates this February 3rd, the International Day Without Straws in Gabon, in particular, several actions are put in place to further fight against the plastic pollution through the prohibition of imports on straws, these small single-use plastics having a strong ecological impact. Vanessa Togo for the details.
Plastic straws are the cause of real ecological disaster. They are too small to be recycled and end up in the oceans. In addition to polluting beaches and the seabed, they are part of the plastic waste that endangers marine species such as fish, turtles, and many others. In its goal of zero disposable plastic, Gabon wants to ban the importance of plastic straws. This is at least one of the recommendations made by non-governmental organizations specialized in environmental issues during a meeting with the Ministry of Environment.
It was also an opportunity for us to express our concerns and to be heard by the minister, and it went quite well. We're ending up with some small promises at the level of our NGO. For example, we questioned the minister on the law of the prohibition and plastic packaging, and to this end, the minister instructed the General Direction of the Environment for a decree on the prohibition of the importation and use of plastic straws in Gabon.
In terms of environmental protection, several policy decisions have been taken, starting with the Environmental Code, the creation of 13 national parks, the ban on long export in 2010, and the creation of the National Climate Council in 2010, to name a few.
We are the most carbon-positive country in the world. Gabon is at 105 million since the President of the Republic in Copenhagen on climate. We have removed 1 billion times of CO2 from the atmosphere.
Now, let's talk about the Margaret Prize Rewards. Launched in 2013 by the GFD, it compensates each year women entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs in Europe and Africa whose projects and innovations respond to the major challenges of our society. To address the issue of the long queue for salary payments, one of the African finalists from Gabon told us, Afdb-Un recounts.
Through the Margaret Prize, GFD supports the growth and international influence of startups and businesses initiatives led by European and African women. GFD Gabon explains the process and the award.
To become a finalist, you had to apply, send your project. In Gabon, we organized open days at JFD Gabon for a week. This prize will allow the winner to win 1 million euros and to get support and become a member of this club and benefit from many digital tools.
In addition to the young Melis Kwakwa, 13 years old, who was nominated in the category Junior Africa, with a project sensitizing teenagers to the dangers of internet gaming, there is Ariane Akare, co-founder and CEO of the small and medium enterprise, Sapei, who is one of the 2 Gabonese finalists for the Margaret 2022 prize. To date, she has 802 votes representing 65%. Anxious to become a laureate, she explains the voting process.
What you have to do is simply vote. You enter Join JFT, you will see photos, then you will see Ariane Akare, which is my name, and you click on it. When the percentage is reached, it will be validated.
Ariane Akare is also the bearer of a project apparently very innovative called Strengthening the Financial Inclusion of Employees.
SAPE is a fintech, meaning financial technology. We put technology at the service of finance. It's an application, a platform to pay salaries, scholarships, pensions, in great numbers via mobile money at once.
Still talking about women empowerment, the African Development Bank Group signed on January 27th in Dakar a $4 million financing agreement with United Nations Women to support women entrepreneurs' access to public procurement in West Africa. Let's take a look. The financing agreement, the largest ever signed by the bank in favor of UN Women, falls within the framework of a flagship program of the institution, the initiative to improve access to finance for women in Africa in collaboration with the Women Entrepreneurs Finance Initiative. The operation will support reform to improve access to women-led businesses, to public procurement, and the development of gender-responsive procurement initiatives as part of inclusive post-COVID-19 recovery programs in Senegal, Mali, Ivory Coast, and Nigeria. The African Development Bank is extremely proud to have signed this project in partnership with UN Women through funding from the AFAWA initiative. We are committed to unlocking the entrepreneurial potential of women and seeing them grow. We are convinced that this high-impact project will provide great opportunities for women entrepreneurs in Senegal and in the entire region. The collaboration agreement was signed by Oulimata Sarr, UN Women Regional Director for West and Central Africa, and Marie-Laure Akin-Olugbade during a meeting held in Dakar. The signing took place in the presence of the President of the African Development Bank Group, Dr. Akinwumi A. Adesina, on an official visit to Senegal on January 26 to 28, and the Senegalese Minister of Economy, Planning and Cooperation, Amadou Hott. Cooperation, known as Chinese official in Nigeria, says Beijing plans to invest over $300 billion in Africa to increase African exports and help close the large trade gap with China. We listen to John Cyril Ondomungo, who gives us precisions.
China's plans for more investment in Africa have been welcomed by some, but critics worried about Africa's growing debt with Beijing. The recent signing of a multi-billion-dollar partnership between China and Africa marks a major step in China's effort to spend more money in Africa in 9 industrial sectors, including trade, digital innovation, medical, poverty reduction, culture, and peace and security. A Chinese official, China-Africa Business Council head Diana Cheng signed a memorandum of understanding with Lagos Chamber of Commerce officials last week in Lagos. He said the $300 billion will be invested in Africa over the next 3 years. Many experts welcome the development and say it could increase the local manufacturing and export capacity of indigenous Nigerian and African brands. China is Africa's biggest trading partner with over $30 billion in trade volume, surpassing the United States and Europe. Nigeria is one of China's largest trading partners in Africa. Experts say the success of the Chinese partnership will be dependent on favorable trade policies that will be drafted among China and African countries. While more African businesses may try to meet a more welcoming Chinese market for their products, many will be watching to see how the new partnership changes the status quo.
Finally, let's talk health. According to a White House communique, the United States has shipped more than 560,000 doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine to West African nation of Ghana. Once more, we listen to Jen Cyril Ondomungu, who tells us more.
They will be distributed through COVAX, a global initiative founded to ensure equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines. These new doses come from the 500 million doses secured by President Joe Biden's administration over the summer. Ghana, a coastal nation of 31 million people, has reported nearly 157,000 cases of the virus, according to the World Health Organization. That has resulted in 1,395 deaths. It has administered more than 9.7 million vaccine doses. Health advocates welcome the donations but have long questions whether the world's richest nation is doing enough. Last month, China's president announced that the nation will soon launch construction of a manufacturing facility for COVID-19 vaccines as well as for tuberculosis and malaria vaccines. President Nana Akufo-Addo said the facility is a collaborative project between Senegal, Rwanda, and a German biotechnology company. Although the nation does not mandate vaccination, it is available to all people 15 years and older, including pregnant women, Ghanaian health authorities have said.
It's time to wrap up, but first let's see what the headlines were about. We saw that in Gabon, on the occasion of the International Day Without Straws, several actions are put in place to fight for the fight against the plastic pollution through the prohibition of importation of straws. Also, we saw that the African Development Bank Group signed in January in Dakar a $4 million financing agreement to support women entrepreneurs in West Africa. Thanks for always staying faithful to G24 on our social medias. Don't forget, information continues on all our platforms. It is time for me to thank our news director, Sonia Ange. And at the sound, we had Aminata Maganga. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned because at 8 p.m. local time, Gaoma Pacey serves you the news in French. Till next time, take care of yourselves and goodbye.